Centered. Grounding yourself by finding your center. According to the I Ching, you have only one obligation in life: to get your relationship with yourself right. Do that, and your relations to sex, time, money, power, food, body, career, society, the cosmos, etc., will all be as good as outer conditions allow. Omit, distort, or neglect any part of your relationship with yourself, and all those other relationships are accordingly skewed, diminished, or lost. Working toward the empowered stance of inner independence and androgynous inner wholeness makes you as effective as possible in the outer world. For example, suppose you are a martial artist trying to survive an attack by multiple assailants. In that case, your primary responsibility is managing your relationship with your body and its movement through time and space. Mastering your relationship with your body gives you the maximum chance of defending yourself from the attacker's bodies. Any flaws in your relationship with your body diminish your chances of surviving the attack. Yes, we are all interdependent in many ways, and it can be fascinating and fulfilling to be with others. But we must also be inwardly independent and disentangle our emotional, psychological, and spiritual equilibria from the instabilities of the outer world. Find the peace and power of staying inside what Stephen Covey calls your circle of influence. That's what you can directly act on right now. Okay, I'll just speak off the cuff to see if I can make this clear. So there's a much larger circle called the circle of concern. Like, I'm worried about what's going on in Ukraine and the Middle East, and I'm also wondering, is this card going to land with you, the future audience of it? However, you're in the circle of concern. You exist in the future. Right now, the only audience to this card is me. The only thing that's within my circle of influence right now is stuff like the recording apparatus, but especially my vocal delivery and the words I'm speaking right now. That's what's in my circle of influence. Everybody else in my life is out there in the circle of concern. They're not here in the study with me. The center of your circle of influence is you, especially your psyche. So if I don't have my relationship to my psyche right, then my relationship to my vocal cords and to the words I'm going to choose are going to be off. The one sovereign domain where you can be sure of having an influence is your psyche. Now, unless you're paralyzed, the movements of your body are also within your circle of influence. But even if you're a gifted athlete, the movements of your body must operate within relatively narrow parameters of biomechanical possibility. For example, no matter how much you focus your will, you can't run a 2-minute mile. Your mind, however, has far broader parameters of possibility and is an incredibly powerful force inside your circle of influence. According to Stephen Covey, outside your circle of influence is your circle of concern. The circle of concern is everything you worry about, but much of what you worry about is outside your ability to take direct action. The circle of influence is what you can take direct action on or affect right now. The most effective people put their energy into their circle of influence and not so much into the circle of concern, where they cannot take direct action. The empowered stance of inner independence means that you recognize your inner wholeness and focus on life-affirming engagement within your circle of influence. For more on the centrality of your relationship to yourself, and that, by the way, focus on getting your relationship to yourself right does not make you egocentric, self-centered, or narcissistic necessarily. It's just that's the law of being an avatar agent in the matrix. You are your own instrument, and therefore how you relate to yourself sets the limit on how much service you can be to others, for example. If romantic desires are compromising your inner independence, which they have a way of doing, then I would suggest Lessons for an Entity Incarnating as a Mammal and Stop the Hottie. And these are all also on the YouTube channel, and they're linked up at the bottom of this card if you want to read them or get to the YouTubes as well.